It's almost, it's exactly like it was represented, you described exactly.
Like a
what
child, but not so much like a child as like a.
But anything
old
else?
man.
Anything else in the text? I mean, one of the.
The bright light, there was a light about it, and actually the way that the scene ends in the text, if I remember, is
I mean, I
when
think.
Scrooge trying to kill the light.
I mean, there's always.
Oh, what was
Well,
it
the
called?
cap,
Yeah, I know what you're saying, the cap.
Yeah,
cap, yeah.
the cap to douse the, like
Douse
they
the
used
light.
with
Yeah.
candles.
I forgot
Anything
about
else though? Anything else specifically in the text that's pretty much impossible to dramatize that's said about the first ghost?
Well, he said that it was hard to focus on it, and at times it looked like it had more than one head, and it had one arm, and then it had 20 arms.
Yeah.
And then there was like a shapeshifter.
It looks like it belongs to Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really. I mean, I think it's really more mysterious than you could ever depict on stage or in a play, and I think. To Damien's credit, it's often kind of depicted one way as it's sort of an angel, really. I think it's often depicted as sort of an angel.
the white.
Yeah, and I think I think Damien captures that it's really hard to put your finger on what this is and what it's doing, and it is shape shifting. Then you go to the text, and it's really bizarre, and it's never explained. I mean, does anybody know what that means? 20 legs or 2 faces, 3 faces?
You know, it reminds me of the book of Revelation.
Interesting.
Was it the seraphim who have like 6 wings and I start thinking many eyes, I start thinking Shiloh and freaking out, you know.
Many-eyed bird.
Or you know how they do it in the movies, and you can see the leg moving and then making one straight smooth movement.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've never read the story until last year. Mirjana told me to read it, so I'd never read it till last year, and I reread it for this. And that was one of the things that really struck me was how mysterious the ghosts were. That it was, I mean, they're always mysterious, but that's what you sort of expect of a ghost. But they're even more so. I mean, you can really see.
Or just the first one.
Especially the first one. I mean, obviously the last one is very scary too by its nature. But the first one too, it's awesome and terrifying and intimidating at the same time.
Would that really be a ghost, properly speaking? I mean, they call them spirits.
With the difference? Yes, there is.
Well, the difference is that a ghost is the spirit of somebody who lived and died, whereas a spirit,
It's more of
all the angels would be spirits.
Well,
They're created as
any non-corporeal being would be a spirit. It can be either.
But isn't there a distinction between a person who had the body and then is now spirit, and then someone who was created spirit? I think there's a distinction between the two, because you're eventually supposed to be reunited with the body, with a body.
Eventually. Not necessarily.
Yeah, I think he's using ghost loose. I think he's using a Holy Ghost. I mean, I think he's in a generic.
Well, what I thought was interesting that each one of the spirits has a very distinct personality, not just. And maybe that was part of what he was trying to do. I mean, the last one's really scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
I remember as a
but the
kid,
middle one
not like
is
it.
very jolly.
Yeah, it's like a drink lane, the middle.
Yeah. Just like it.
It's Chesterton.
Yeah.
It's Chesterton.
Or you think to the past, you think of things of your childhood, or you think mostly of the good, well, not all the time, but the good things is always nice and light, and
Yeah.
think of the future, you don't know what it is.
The memories
Right.
are
The
future's scary.
It's dark, I mean, it can be very dark.
Yeah. And Lewis says that. He says, I mean, people always talk about what a danger it is to live in the past. And Lewis says, yeah, that's not good, but by far the worst thing is living in the future. Is that's what people obsess about and make wrong decisions about when they're focused on, what does the future hold, and not being content to live in the moment. I mean, it's really counterintuitive, but profound, I think.